Listen, if you don't know how to properly read your JPS electric bill, the light bill, you don't know if you're being overcharged or any other discrepancy that might be happening with your bill. You have to know how to read it. So, I am going to take you through a sample of the electric bill, the light bill, and walk you through every aspect of the bill so that you are no longer confused and you know exactly what it says on the bill. A lot of people find it confusing when they get the light bill. I'm going to be doing this also for the water bill, phone bill, whichever bill applies. Because I know that a lot of elders, especially, and a lot of persons who are not as literate as others, they may struggle to read their light bill, their water bill, and other documents. So I'm taking the time and we're going to go step by step so that you know exactly what each section of the bill is for and you can tell if everything is legit or you're being overcharged or whatever the case may be. Maybe you made a payment and it's not reflecting on the bill. So it's very crucial that you know how to read it. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, so I hope you can see the bill, and then I'm going to, let me just check to make sure. Let me check. Okay, so I think you should be able to see my screen. All right, so I'm gonna go through the bill, and if you have any queries when I'm done, feel free to drop it in the comments, and I will respond. Right? So if you're still not sure about anything at all, just drop it in the comments and I'll respond. Now, so at the top, I'm going to go from top to bottom, side to side. So I'm hoping you can see my cursor. Hoping you can see it moving around. I'm going to be moving it around. So the top section, you know, that's the who, when, how much. Of course, I've blotted out the information here because you don't need to see this person's information. Your information is going to be here at the top where it says account number, your customer name, and your service address. So those are the three things that go to the top. Everybody's own is different, so yours is unique to you. Of course, you have the JPS logo. I am from Jamaica, and this is where the vast majority of Jamaicans get their electricity supply from the JPS, the Jamaica Public Service Company. All right, so the account number, which that's your personal JPS number. And if you call or go into the JPS office to make queries, you're going to need to have your account number. It's best if you take the actual bill with you, but if you don't have the bill, you definitely will need to have your account number ready so they can make the next necessary checks. All right. Now, if we go across, you see the invoice date. In this case, is 18th of May, 2026. Now, that is the day that JPS made the bill. That's the day when the bill was generated, right? Now, you will see the meter number right here, the meter number. Everybody should have a meter on their premises, and everybody's meter number is different. You can check, you can go to your meter and check if it matches the number on the bill to make sure that you are paying for the meter that you are using. All right. Now below that you will see rate RT10. So that means it's a residential bill. And most houses will use RT10. Businesses are built different. They are built under the commercial billing. Okay, so houses, your house, you're a resident, your rate is a residential rate. Now the yellow box right here is the most important box. If you see nothing else on your bill, make sure you look at the yellow box right here. It says, please pay. Please pay this amount, the total. So in this case, $22,096.66. And it tells you the date that you must pay it by. So this is how much JPS wants you to pay this month, and you are to pay it by this date, the 2nd of June, 2026. If you pay before the date, you're good. If you pay on the date, you're good. If you pay after the date, you might be charged a late fee, or if it gets too far after the date, they might cut your light. They might cut off the electricity. And when it's time to reconnect, you might be charged a reconnection fee. And if it takes too long, you might also have to pay the security deposit that is on the bill. Okay, so try to pay your bill on time or before the time. Now, like I said, the yellow box, that's your box. If you don't see anything else on the bill, see this yellow box right here. Because it tells you how much you need to pay and when you need to pay it by. All right, now let's go down to the meter reading information. So right here, this is gonna tell you about the meter, how they read the meter, right? And this is so that JPS can know how much electricity you have used, and they will charge you accordingly. So the period, in this case, the period is here, and then they have the reading type, which is the actual reading, not an estimate. Then you have the date that your meter was read, the previous amount that was on, so that's the reading from the last reading, and the current reading, and the energy use. So let me break that down for you. And by the way, it used to be that you would see men going around reading the meters, the electric meters. That's no longer the case. The new meters that were put in some time ago, they are read remotely. They are read remotely at JPS office. So for the billing period, that means they checked your light. In this case, it was 31 days from April 14 to May 14. That's what you're being billed for. The reading type, as it says, is the actual reading, which is good because it means that JPS is taking the actual figures that from the meter. Even though they're doing it remotely, it's the actual figure. It's not an estimate. Because, estimates can be wrong, because let's say 1 month you use 100 kilowatts. And the other month you decided you're going to cut down drastically on your usage. If they estimate the bill, they're going to charge you the same 100 that you used the last month. If they take the actual reading, then you will be charged exactly what you used. So where you see previous and current. So the previous reading was the last reading that they took. That's last month. And the current reading is what your meter is saying right now. So for them to work out now the energy used, so that would be they would subtract the current from the previous, the previous from the current to get the difference, and that's how much light you burned in kilowatts. So kWh, kilowatt hours. Basically, though that's the units of light that they measure how much electricity you have been using, right? Not just light, but all your appliances, all your devices, your phone that you have to charge, the fridge, the fan, the light bulb, the washing machine, the electric stove, the iron, the radio, the TV. All these appliances take energy, they require energy, and you have to pay for it. All right, so let's go down now to okay, so we said the amount that you use, you take the new number and minus the old number, right? And that's your light, how much you use for the month, which in this case 360 units, right? Now the section where they work out your charges, right? That's where your money goes. All right, so if you notice, they have the last bill, how much you paid on the last bill, and your balance, the current charges, and the total charges. And there's a deposit here. So I'm going to break down all of those for you, okay? Now, last bill, in this case, it was $19,052.84. That's what you were charged last month. If you paid that bill, so this is so last bill $19,052.84, and the person paid 19,200, so they just rounded it off. They paid a little extra on the bill, so there's a balance here, right? You paid extra, which is good. You have no arrears on the bill. It left a balance now that JPS owes the person. So this, if you notice, there's a negative $147.16. That means JPS owes the person $147.16, and it will be added, or it will be deducted from their next bill. If you see an amount on the balance and it is a positive amount, so there's no minus sign in front of it, that means you still had a little bit on the bill. You didn't clear all of the bill and you still owe. And if that amount is past a certain amount, I don't know what the threshold is at JPS, but if it's beyond a certain amount, you might be disconnected. Your electricity might be disconnected. Even though you paid some, once you have a certain balance, a positive balance, it might still be disconnected. Now in the yellow here, the current charges, so that's how much money you're being charged for the kilowatt hours that you use for this month. And if you had anything, if you paid extra and JPS is gonna deduct that, then you'll get your total charges, and that's the amount that you're going to be paying. If you notice, the total charges is the same as the amount that they're saying you need to pay. Okay, it matches the yellow box. That's how much you need to fork out if you want to clear the bill. Like I said, there's a deposit here. It's like a safety amount that JPS holds. It's like a security. You don't have to pay this every month. They just have it there as security. Just like I'm guessing It's like when you're renting a house and you have to pay a security deposit, and they keep that there for the duration of the time you're at the house. All right, so let's go now to the usage trend. Here, the chart, which looks like a bar graph here, this chart. It's showing the pattern of how you've been using the electricity for the past, it looks like the past 12 months, right? For the past 12 months, this is the pattern. So if you notice some months are higher than some, it has the months under here. So this is from May last year to May to let me see, this is what, April this year to the current month, May this year. It's going up and down. So some months you use a little more. The higher bars are the more usage. So let me see. In the months of December, January, February, not so much used. But I'm guessing in the summer months, those would be high. That's what I'm, yes. So like July, August, because you're going to be turning up the fan, turning on the AC in those hot months, and other things. People always complain that at Christmas time they get a huge, hefty bill because Christmas time you have lots of family gatherings. Well, back in the day we used to have more decorations. It's, people are not so much into the Christmas lights anymore. Some people still do it, but generally it's the festive season, lots of things happening. You tend to use a little more electricity. Now below the bar graph we have a pie chart. uh Oh, by the way, okay, right. So February, March, April were the highest, according to the bar graph. The pie chart is a good circle graph here. So this shows where your money is going. So the money that JPS collects from you, they are telling you how they're going to distribute it. So it's in percentages. So if you read the percentages here, it says JPS will take 30%, 33% of your money. They keep that to run the company, to run wires, to pay their workers, right? So the IPP, 15%. That money is what JPS pays to the power companies that sell them electricity. Fuel, that's 45%. You notice that's the biggest chunk of the pie. That's the cost of oil, diesel that the company has to use to generate the electricity. So that's why when the oil prices go up, your bill will inevitably go up. Like right now, we're in a kind of crisis with the war in the Middle East, and a lot of countries get their oil directly or indirectly from them. So we expect rising costs across the board because it's a ripple effect. Taxes, GCT, 7% that goes to the government. So JPS is telling you this is the breakdown. When we collect your money, this is how we distribute it amongst the stakeholders. It's not just going to them, it's going to the people that they get fuel from. Some of it is going as tax to the government, some of it has to be used to pay their workers, and so on. Now, almost half of the money, 45%, goes to fuel. So yeah, that's why when the gas price raises, the light bill will be raising. JPS can't really control that part. We don't have oil here in Jamaica. We have to import oil, petroleum, and diesel. All right, now where are we now? How your bill is calculated. So that's this section over here on the right. How your bill is calculated. This takes some math, but trust me, if you just pay attention and read it carefully, you can figure it out. It's not that hard. right? This is the part that scares a lot of people, but let's do it line by line. So the balance brought forward, that is if you did not pay all the bill the last month. So the amount that you owe from last month, that's gonna come over on the balance on this month. If you paid more, it's gonna reflect as a negative amount, and that's gonna be actually deducted from this month. Right. The energy used. So JPS splits your light into two prices. You will see energy first and energy next because they calculate them at different rates. So the first 100 units are cheaper than anything that comes after, right? So here the energy first is 8,315 for up to 100 kilowatt hours. And then after the first 100 kilowatt hours, whatever amount you use, that's calculated at a different rate, 360.09 units. Okay. So it's like they're saying, all right, the first 100 kilowatt hours that you use, we're going to charge you less for those first. And then after that, we charge you at a different rate. The customer charge $663.14. So everybody pays this just to have JPS service, just to have a meter in your home. It's like, consider it as you're paying rent to have the meter. Think of it like that, right? So even if you lock up the house and you're gone to Dubai on a fancy vacation for 2 weeks or 2 months, you don't use any, you plug out all the appliances, lock up all the, as a matter of fact, you plug out everything in the meter. You still will have to pay the customer charge because you have the meter in your house. That's the charge for having the meter. Everybody has to pay that, right? So they add up those three things: the energy first, the energy next, and the customer charge. And they deduct anything if you had a negative balance, if you had paid extra, they take that out. And if you had not paid everything, they add that, and that's how they come to your total bill. But there are a few other miscellaneous charges, variable and miscellaneous charges. So the FX adjustment, that's 1.63%. So because JPS buys fuel in US dollars, this is put in there in case the US dollars, because you know the US dollar fluctuates. It goes up, it comes down. So if it happens that the US dollar goes up at this point in time, they will add that amount, right? The fuel charge also $27,697 per kilowatt hours. And yeah, this is the biggest charge. The IPP variable charge, 7.12 per kilowatt hours, and basically JPS paying the power companies. So JPS has a lot of calculations that they do to come to your final bill, but they are transparent. They break down everything. They show you on the bill, piece by piece, section by section, the breakdown, which is good, right? That's good. The government takes 7 cents out of every dollar, 7%. Now, JPS has an incentive where they offer you $250 if you paid the bill early last month, So they give you a $250 back, which is great. That's what I'm saying. Try to pay your bill before the date, and you will get $250. Now, right now, the US dollar is about 155 to 1. The billing exchange rate, JPS calculates it at 158.16. So this means that the US dollar was $155 when JPS set the prices, but $158 when they made the bill. So there was a fluctuation there, and they're adjusting. The FX adjustment is to make up for that fluctuation, that small change in the rate. That's the adjustment, the FX adjustment. Now, JPS also, if you can see, on the bottom part of the bill, they have how you can contact them. There's a number, a toll-free number called JPS. If there are any queries about your bill, any queries at all, you could also go into the JPS office in your local area. There's also My JPS mobile app where you can download that on your phone and check your bill on your phone. And you can email JPS, call JPS at jpsco.com. So all the different avenues that you can take, if you have queries, if you have suggestions, if you have anything at all you want to ask JPS, right? Everything is on the bill. So to wrap up, if there's one thing at all you want to look at as you get the bill, this yellow box right here, it tells you how much you owe and when you need to pay it by to avoid disconnection. You know you don't want to be disconnected because you want to watch your movies, you want to use your internet on your phone at home, you want your nice cool drinks out of the fridge. It's summer on our heels. You want to lie down comfortable in your AC or your fan. You want to can wash your clothes, all of these things. So you don't want to be disconnected. You don't want to be the only house on the block that is in darkness. You know, so Jamaicans, we're very proud and bossy, and we don't want none of that embarrassment. So remember also, so the most thing that the bill, the highest component of the bill is your fuel, and then the JPS, you know, where they have to go to run their business, and then there's a 7% tax, plus some other miscellaneous charges, right? So think of it, when you're talking about kilowatt hours, you can think of it as one unit would be like if you leave a 100-watt bulb on for 10 hours. The bulb in your room, if you leave it on for 10 hours, a 100 watts bulb. And if you burn 360 units, that's like 3,600 hours of leaving that bulb on. No. If you're reading a bill and you see the reading type say estimate for more than 3 months in a row, that's a red flag, and you need to call JPS because you want an accurate, actual reading. If you see an estimate for a 1 month, all right, 2 months, okay, but 3 or more months, that's pushing it. You need to query. Why don't I have an actual reading for my bill? If the current number is less than the previous number, that could be an error, so you need to call JPS. If the bill jumps to twice the amount, but you know that your habits have been the same, Then you're gonna need to check your fridge to see if it's leaking out the cold air out of it through the gasket at the side, or any other leaks from the fridge, or maybe your water heater is having problems. If your bill jumps suddenly twice as much or even more, and you know that your habits have been the same, it might not be JPS's fault, it might be faulty appliances at home. Now, how can you lower your bill? If you've been consistently getting high bills and struggling to pay them and having disconnections or just making it in the nick of time, how can you reduce your usage? Well, turn off the lights that are not being used. Unplug your chargers once the phone is charged, once your device is charged, your laptop. Service the fridge, make sure that the cold air not leaking out and causing the fridge to burn over time. Right? So look at the bar chart, they put it there for you to see how your usage fluctuates, and when it's low, when it's high. And these are the things that you can do to keep it low. Keep it low, right? If you paid more last month, JPS must minus it from this month. So you need to check that you have a negative balance. And yeah, that's it. I'll be doing some other bills for those of you who really struggle to read your bills. I want you to empower yourself and understand that I can read the bill, I can understand what I'm being charged for, I can understand if I'm being overcharged, I can see that my usage has gone down, and this can help me to realize that, hey, the things that I've put in place, the things that I've been doing to reduce my usage, they have been working. So you really need to check your bill, and remember, the most important slot is the yellow box at the top, the right hand side. Go straight to that so you know how much you need to pay and when you need to pay it by, and you run and pay it. Because so we both see, and so when I like the embarrassment and the so we don't want nobody come cut off the light. You can also look out for the other videos where I'll be tearing apart piece by piece some other utility bills and other documents that some people struggle to read and understand.